Well, good morning. It's morning here. I don't know when you're watching this video, but the devil here. And today I'd like to talk to you about some safety equipment, shall I say. It's auxiliary to the bicycle, and yet it's very important. So I've got some props, and the first one is what else? Ye old helmet. Now, the helmet is a very important device because it protects your noodle. And by the way, I have a saying: those who don't wear a helmet have nothing to protect. So if they don't have anything in there, they don't need any help. My first thing is a disclaimer on the helmet. Things I'll talk about are just in general. Specific to your helmet, you should read the manual that came with the helmet. Hard to believe that a piece of headwear comes with a manual, operating manual, but you should read it so that every equipment manufacturer, every helmet manufacturer, you've covered all of the different aspects and the way that they look at things. And so the most important thing, though, with a helmet is fit. It should be big enough to fit over your head and not small, so it's tight. You should have the strap firmly affixed at all times, not loose like this, because if the helmet flies off, it's not going to do you any good. And chances are, if you have a little bit of a mishap, or even if you're standing still and you happen to topple over, your helmet will have the force of centrifugal force and gravity, and will go flying, and that leaves your head vulnerable to possible trauma. So you have to make sure that the strap fits, and it should fit firmly and snugly under your chin. A little bit of space for comfort. Okay, I usually use my fingers to make sure it's loose enough, but it can't come off, and if something happens, it's going to stay on my head and help protect me. The other feature that I want to talk about with helmets is inside there's a little bit of a star adjuster on most of them, probably on all of them. This adjuster, you can turn it one way or the other, and when you have it on, you have a hot day and your head starts to swell. Some of you have swelled heads anyway, but if your head starts to swell, you can loosen it a little bit, or you can tighten it to make it fit just right, just nice and snug, so that it's comfortable and that the air can flow through it, and that it protects you when it's supposed to. The next little pieces there are two of them, of equipment are gloves. Now gloves are important from the aspect of protecting your hands from a couple of things. Number one is, should you have a mishap, the chances are you're going to put your hands out, and if you do, these will protect the surface of your hands from getting abrasions from the road. The second thing that they have that helps you is that they usually have little pads. So as you're gripping the bars, sometimes you might find that you get some sort of numbness. These little pads help protect you from that. Gloves also should have a proper fit. If they're too tight, they're going to be constrictive and uncomfortable. If they're too loose, they aren't going to do anything, and they're just going to be floating around and may cause other issues. So you got to make sure that when you go to the store, you get a pair of gloves that fit you snugly and that they're comfortable for you to use. I'm going to leave these on during the rest here. My other piece of safety equipment that I think are glasses. Now, I wear glasses for optical purposes, and even my sunglasses have a little insert to help my sight. But glasses are very important for a couple of reasons. One is they help protect you from UVA and UVB rays, and they serve as goggles. If there's dust or little particles and bugs, things like that flying around, they will help protect your eyes from entering your eye and causing you problems. They're not foolproof, but they certainly, I'm going to say they get at least 95%. I'm going to change it again. Okay. Next Shoes. Shoes are part of your safety equipment. They help put you onto the bike, keep you firmly so your foot doesn't slip off, and a foot slipping off a bike could cause some other problems. Just be aware, again, they come with manuals, and there are different types of fastening systems today, so that while you're riding and it's a hot day, your feet may tend to swell. And when they swell, they could become a little bit painful, cause you some other stress on the bike. So you've got these adjusters of different sorts that you can use to loosen, and you can do that while you're riding, or stop and loosen them up a little bit. So you got a little added piece there. And finally, lights. Now, when they first came out, I thought they were a bit on the hokey side, but I'm now a believer. I'm a believer in them. You've got them for the rear and you've got them for the front. I don't necessarily think the front is always necessary, just personally, and they're not required, but the front ones certainly give people some sort of advance warning that you're there. They have different settings, and when you see, you've certainly seen people riding with them, certainly add to the visibility, because the greater the visibility for you against other traffic and cars, the better off you are. But what I am firmly believe in is the rear, because I have been using one since I found one on the road about 2 years ago, and I've since gone up to a better grade than the one I found. But I am a believer in increasing the visibility. A car approaching you from the rear has a better chance of seeing you sooner, or when they're further away, than when they're up close. And these things, and my unscientific reasoning on that is, I've had less arguments with motorists since I started using this light than I had before. Maybe it's my attitude, but maybe it's the attitude of the motorists, but I gotta think that they get worse. I think they see me sooner, they don't get into the surprise situation, and then they don't become hostile or aggressive. And these things might have different types of settings. I'm going to do this over here so that it's in mine. This one has all sorts of things, different ways to put them on. But I firmly believe that these are the most wonderful things that we've come across for improving cycling safety and enjoyability of the road. So that's my little message on safety equipment. If you have any questions on that, and let's go back to the very beginning again with the helmet. Read the owner's manual. One of the things that you will learn about a helmet is they're made of plastic, basically, and they are subject to UV rays. So they have a life. They have a life in time which they are effective. Now, some manufacturers say you should replace them every year. Some say every 2 years. But what happens is the plastic is affected by UV, becomes brittle, and if it becomes brittle, it will not do as good a job as intended. So read the manual, learn when you should replace it, and always wear your helmet when you're out riding, even if it's on a trail around the neighborhood. You might think that you're immune from anything under a little short circumstance. Always wear your helmet and set the example for others. Thank you, and have a good day.